Hello, friends, and welcome to Pod Return to the Waking Sands. We are a Final Fantasy XIV companion podcast where we explore the lore and story of Hydaelyn and beyond. My name is Jen, and I'm joined by my co-host and researcher.
I'm Levi.
What's up, Levi?
What's up, Jen? What is up, our Dragoons? Because they be jumping.
Wow, okay, let's just get right into it.
Because they be jumping, Jen.
They be jumping.
So they're up.
No, I got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
you didn't seem to appreciate the humor.
Well,
in the relevance of my statement.
I was reeling from the fact that there was no exchange of pleasantries. It was just bam, bam, bam.
You gave me a perfect end to the topic, so I took it. It's really your fault, Jen, if you consider it.
Unreal. That's some Darvo shit you just told, dude.
What is a Darvo?
So that people know, it's an acronym. It means deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. So if you call somebody out for behaving poorly, it's someone who will try to make it seem, it's victim blaming, I suppose, and this is the short.
Is this like a abuse term?
Yeah. So if you're in a relationship with a gaslighter and a manipulator, they're frequently going to make you, for bringing up something that is concerning to you in a mature way, and they respond with, but you, blah, 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 and then you walk away feeling like you have to apologize, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? So, I guess, listeners, if you feel that might be something that's going on, just, take stock. Take care of you. Anyway.
I'm being called out by Jen.
My God, no. That it got serious real fast. But
it did.
Hopefully, somebody who needed to hear it and hadn't heard it has planted a seed.
Well, Jen, thank you again for the second lead-in, because Dragoon is serious business. This is a serious quest line.
Yeah. Not a lot of levity to be had here.
Beyond that, though, this is some of the more meaty, if not the most meaty story content contained in a job quest in A Realm Reborn.
Right? Because, so if people aren't aware, I said this in the previous episode. I haven't done, none of my characters have touched Dragoon at all. So this is, I did this for the first time for this podcast, and I was kind of gagged. I'll be honest, because we'll get there anyway.
Well, before Jen indulges in all her Dragoon enthusiasms, let's back up a bit and talk about Dragoon in general.
Enthusiasm.
First off, I would call this one of the iconic Final Fantasy jobs. This occupation, this concept exists beyond Final Fantasy, but also I think the franchise has kind of claimed it for their own. At least a version of Dragoon belongs to Final Fantasy. And it's been with the series since number 2.
You belong to me. You belong to me, my angel.
That aside, even though
we were originally a class of mounted infantry.
Even though Dragoon first appeared in number 2, though, I think that most US players, at least long-term US fans, would first recognize Kain Highwind from Final Fantasy IV as the original Dragoon, since we did not get numbers 2 and 3 in the US in the proper order. So Kain was really kind of the first Dragoon for us types.
Us types?
Yeah.
Us Final Fantasy types?
Us US Final Fantasy types.
Okay.
In the game series, Dragoons started off as specialized dragon fighters, but they kind of morphed into people that wield spears and jump high.
Yes. I just looked this up. The term Dragoon, just in real life, came from the nickname for a weapon, which was the carbine or the short musket, which was called the Dragoon, and referred to the fire that emits out of the gun when it was fired. So there you go. Not a spear.
No.
Wah wah.
But unlike the prior setups, Jin destroyed my personal setup, where I was saying that Dragoons in Final Fantasy typically wield spears and jump high, but in 14 they get to do all 3 things. They get to fight dragons, wield spears, and jump high.
Woo!
Triple threat.
And maybe be a little dragon. They got a little dragon in them.
Yep. Because in Eorzea, Dragoons are an Ishgardian profession, what with their eternal dragon war and all that. Dragoons are as old as Ishgard itself. In modern times, top members of the Temple Knights are recruited to join this elite order, and only a few of those chosen graduate from the grueling training process to become a proper Dragoon. In terms of gameplay, I think that Dragoon feels reasonably Dragoon-y.
Sure.
This used to be a meme job because it was full of animation locks and forced repositions from all the job actions, so many a Dragoon got killed as a result of going through their normal rotation at the wrong time for some sort of big attack.
Hence the floor tank.
Yes. However, they have largely removed all these things from the class, so they are as mobile as most other melee DPS.
I've played up to level 50 and I would agree.
For instance, like that, the 30-second cooldown jump attack, that does not move your character's location forward.
Nope, it's just like bloop, bloop.
But it used to actually move your position.
Why? Wait, where?
To,
it would just, you'd like hit and go back or go back and
exactly.
forward or something? Okay,
so
that makes no sense.
Well, it makes sense because your character is moving. So when your character does the jump attack, they will jump forward and stab and jump back again. And so if you jumped forward into a point blank AoE, that's you got. Now, though, your character does not actually occupy the space occupied by the animation. So I would argue that the former version made more sense, but this one is much more player friendly.
Right. I mean, that's a hell of an animation lock.
Yes. That was Dragoon for you back then.
I feel bad enough with that one, the ninja, I think it's Assassinate or something. For like 3/4 of a second, I can't move. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ!
Regardless, though, Dragoon still has their sick backflip move, which is a great way to reposition as long as you don't do the still present meme, which is backflipping off the edge of the arena.
I've used it, I think, twice because I just got it. So, and also I like to, and this might be stupid, but I like to pair it with the jump back towards the enemy. Not jump back, but jump towards the enemy. So like you jump back to avoid like a point blank AoE, for example, and then jump towards the enemy again to like hit him. So you go like whoop, whoop. I like being able to pair the maneuvers that way, but the times are off. Like one's 30 seconds, one 40 seconds. So like that never pans out. So I'm like, I don't ever need it. I never fucking need this thing. The point blank AoEs on the shit that I'm doing at where I am in this job, they're not that big.
That's fair.
It doesn't make any sense.
Aside from that, though, the job does not feel very distinct at level 50. They get one more gap closer than most melee DPS with their Dragonfire Dive plus the Winged Glide. So that's 2 gap closers. But beyond that, most actions feel in line with other melees. You even have like the damage buff and the dot like Monk used to before the most recent patch. Yeah, again, it's not very iconic, I feel, at this point in time. The only things I really call Dragoon specific would be the 2 dives and then the backflip. Anyway, speaking of the gap closers, they recently changed Dragoon apparently significantly, but none of these changes have hit level 50 yet. So I haven't played any of the new Dragoon modifications except for Winged Glide. Now this action is a 0 potency gap closer. They have tweaked multiple jobs with this kind of adjustment, and I love it personally because if your job's gap closer deals damage, it becomes part of your DPS rotation and you will want to hit it on cooldown unless you know the fight super well and know exactly when to not use your damaging gap closer because you'll need it in a few seconds. Otherwise, though, you're being forced to either choose between damage in your burst window or the possible need for the gap closer in the future. This change to the gap closer to not deal damage means you are not forced to push it to optimize your rotation, and therefore you have it available for when you need it to actually close a gap versus just deal damage.
That sounds great.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, even Black Mage has one. I used etheric manipulation constantly. I think it was great.
Yeah.
It was like reverse rescue. Rescue myself.
Yes. Anyway, all that aside, let's get to the actual job quest. Like we do, we pick up this quest in the guild of the respective starting class. So that would be the Lancers Guild.
Ewain, our old guild master, has a potential job for us.
They have an urgent need for a capable Lancer. Potential my ass.
Well, it's not... They're still asking us. It's not like you will do this. They're asking us.
I can feel the social pressure.
Sure, but it is presented as a potential job if you would like to accept it, which I think is an important distinction because we are not of the guild anymore, and Ewain is like, I can't tell you what to do, okay? Okay. An Ishgardian friend of his is in need of aid, and not just any aid.
He tells us that in spite of her self-imposed isolation, the Holy See has never failed to honor her obligations to her allies, which I found to be a highly questionable statement.
I remember that now. Yeah, I was like, we've talked about Ishgard and their bullshit for so long. I was like, whatever.
I mean, if you don't have allies, I guess you don't have obligations to them.
And I'm like, they consider us allies now? That's interesting.
So I don't know where they got that, but does not reflect our lived experience whatsoever.
Maybe he's getting propaganda from his friend.
Maybe. Sure. But they very much want someone who is trustworthy and is capable but unbound by allegiance.
Right.
Initially, when they had requested aid, the Gridanians offered up a contingent of wood whalers, but they were turned down because they, of course, had an allegiance to Gridania.
And the thing is, it's a little bit of a national security issue for Ishgard, so let's not just go ahead and advertise our current moment of weakness here. Not that the wood whalers would be like dicks about it, but still, it's a sensitive issue.
What they really want is an adventurer. Us.
Yep.
So we head for the observatorium for more information.
So the guy that is waiting for us there, his name is Sir Albrecht. And...
Knight of Ishgard.
Knight of Ishgard.
This is a healer with mustache and beard and a small facial scar.
Yeah, Ewain also has a scar. Lots of scars. Makes sense.
It's a dangerous life, Jen.
He's, we've all seen some shit. So he tells us a priceless Ishgardian relic has been stolen, and this relic is known as the Eye. They believe the culprit has traveled this way, and they would like our assistance in retrieving it. The thief has been identified. The thief's name is Estinien, a dragoon sworn to the service of the Holy See. And this particular betrayal is worthy of a punishment worse than death. Got it. Time is of the essence, always, and Albrecht can't just walk away from his post at the observatorium. Wait, no.
He wants to keep his identity a secret. He doesn't want to be seen himself asking about this thing, so he asks us to do the legwork for him. This is like a real cursory check the box type step where we're going to confirm definitively that Estinien has not left Kurthis by talking to a single sentry. So we talk to a sentry, they say, I ain't seen no one, but maybe check the watchtower in North Shroud. We pop over there, they say we ain't seen no one. We go back, we say it's impossible for him to have left because no one's seen him.
And they're like, you know what? If that's the case, there has been some suspicious campfire smoke to the east, I think. Maybe
mention that first.
Sometimes you need added context to understand, like, you know what? Maybe that's what's going on.
It's very funny because this is the sentry. His name is like Logdanrel or something.
Logodanrel.
And he calls this suspicious. Yet he doesn't move to...
I mean, we've got random ass bandits all the time. We've got heretics going on. We've got Ixal bullshit. Like there's a ton of things that this campfire thing could be.
So get on that, sentry.
So, I mean, yeah, but with the added context of obviously what case. So there's a person stole this priceless relic and has put Ishgard in a bit of a pickle.
But
you would assume that the person would want to get this as far away as possible, so it makes sense.
The Sentry doesn't know that, though. They just know we're asking about a suspicious fugitive, and they send us around in a circle before...
Well, we assume that the person is going to want to fucking flee, so let's go talk to the people that would see a person fleeing.
I just found it funny that the Sentry called the campfire suspicious, and is like, now that you mention it, I have seen some suspicious smoke in the distance. Anyway, that's irrelevant. I just found that bit to be amusing.
No, I agree, but, you know, I understand the sequence of events, and I cannot fault it.
Fine.
So, yeah, well, that's probably our guy. So,
yeah, we're on the hunt.
So there's it's not really a cave. It's like a tunnel that leads to like a platform that is
This
open
is
air.
a icy shelf that overlooks a snowy abyss. On
like
this shelf,
Shiva's bosom, am I right? That's disgusting.
Wow, Jen.
Okay. So...
Anyway, we find a roaring campfire on this icy shelf. And we check it out, and we get attacked by some pucks. We kill them, no problem. And then we check out the campfire some more. When someone makes an entrance, leaping down from an upper cliff is a figure in layered black armor, festooned with spines. He lands in the snow and insults us.
That Ishgard would resort to sending coin-starred adventurers after me. I know not whether to laugh or feel insulted. He's not wrong. He doesn't know who we are, but I get it. And at that moment, something in him stirs. It's the eye. And he's like, it rouses for another? And his temporary hideout being found and all that, he goes to leave, but he turns to us and he's like, we will meet again. And then he leaps into the sky and out of sight. You know, this fucking cool guy. But our proximity to this thing made it feel feelings, I guess. So, I mean, we're very special. So we go back to Albrecht and tell him, like, hey, we found your dude. But he does give us a little bit more insight on what the eye fucking is.
Well, sure, because he is shocked that it would choose another. That's what he says.
Yeah, that's what Estinian said. So give us the tea.
The tea, Jen, is that the eye is no ordinary relic. It harbors the power of a dragon, and it bestows this power upon a single chosen soul, the strongest and wisest dragoon. The chosen is possessed of a power to fight the Ishgardians' mortal foes on equal footing, soaring the firmament as though it were an extension of the land. The chosen one becomes the Azure Dragoon.
The man we just encountered, Estinian, is such a man. He is the Azure Dragoon. But not only that, Albrecht was his teacher. But we have been chosen ourselves. The glow of the soul of the Dragoon in Albrecht's possession is proof of that.
This is a bit sloppy, I feel like, because we got two things now. There's the eye and then there's the soul.
So they're like talking to one another.
Yeah,
they're link pearling. They're like, hey, I just found this amazing person. Go ahead and just like log that away. So when their presence becomes adjacent to you, go ahead and do like whatever that is that you do.
Yeah,
I think you glow. So maybe glow.
Yes, I mean that is what it is. And because I've done a million job quests so far, including on my main character, I get it. I understand the function of a job stone, but if this were my first job quest, and I'm sure for many people it is, I don't get why there's suddenly a soul now, and there's an eye, and what's going on there. It's a bit sloppy in its presentation.
Yeah, like, suddenly Albrecht is the giver of the soul of the Dragoon. He's had it this whole time. Okay, so we're like, all right. So I guess that's...
But what you said is correct, Jen. The soul and the eye have some link, and apparently the soul, aka the job stone, is now also responding to our presence. So he's got these job stone on him, and he realizes that, yes, these artifacts have resonated with us to our character.
Right. The soul can't give us dragon power, but otherwise they are functioning the same. So the soul is now bequeathed to us, as only another Azure Dragoon wields the power to confront another. Albrecht promises to help us develop the dragon within for our inevitable confrontation with Estinien.
He keeps the soul upon him out of force of habit, but he has no more need for it. Long ago, Albrecht soared the skies as the Azure Dragoon, but its power is now lost to him.
Interesting.
So we got a dynasty here. We got Grandpa Albrecht,
Yep.
then Estinien, now us, the baby.
The baby.
Yep, baby Azure.
All right. So we do what we do. We level up. We don't skip leg days and whatever, and then we go back to see Albrecht.
It's all leg day for Dragoons.
Right?
Yep.
Man. Albrecht gives us a little background on our Azure Dragoon. Estinien is a singular talent in many generations, such that he is believed to be the second coming of Haldrath, the Dragon's Eye. And if we were to go up against Estinien right fucking now, we would die. There's no contest.
Backing up, Jen just mentioned a name here. She said that Estinien was proclaimed to be Haldrath, the Dragon's Eye reborn. This name is dropped with no context here.
Absolutely not. All you can do is be like, I assume that is a significant person in your history.
It's going to come up soon. Let's say it now for just clarity.
Yeah.
Haldrath is the first Dragoon. This soul crystal is Haldrath's soul crystal. So we are carrying on the skills of this original Dragoon. Estinien, though, his skills were so great that people believed him to actually be like a reincarnation of this legendary figure. That's all.
Albrecht continues. Now he wants to give us the full history of Dragoons in Ishgard. It all began a millennium past, when our forebears resided in the southern plains in humble circumstances. The Fury, impressed by the spirit of our ancestors. I'm literally quoting Albrecht now because it's fine. It's, lots of flowery language. So the Fury, impressed by the spirit of our ancestors, decided it was meet that she make them her own. So did she appear before Haldrath's sire, a man of courage and integrity named Thordan, and bade him lead her people to the promised land, to what would become the great nation of Ishgard. Their journey brought them to a wide chasm, whereupon Thordan and his people set to building a bridge. It was then that a dark shadow descended upon them, the great worm Nidhogg. Heedless of his own safety, Thordan fearlessly charged at the colossal beast. Alas, he was pushed into the chasm by one of his own, a man seduced by the worm, and fell to his death. Taking up his slain sire's lance, Haldrath hurled himself at Nidhogg, even as tears streamed down his face. The confrontation ended when the young man, his hand guided by Halone, landed a mighty thrust that pried out Nidhogg's eye. With a terrible roar of pain, the great worm took wing and fled, while jubilation reigned below. Ishgard's priceless relic is none other than the eye taken from Nidhogg that day. It is a veritable wellspring of dragon power, even so removed from its owner, and it can exert control over the hearts of men. Haldrath himself felt its malign influence, but his love of justice brooked no corruption, and he prevailed over the power, claiming it for his own. And so it was that the first Azure Dragoon was born. So it's like, if you have strong enough character, you can hold back this corrupting influence that the eye has on you and kind of be able to manage that power. But if you are less than, if you falter for a second, it'll get you.
So with the history lesson over, we now get to our training.
This is like the next, I think, 3 steps.
Yes.
Where we sit and talk to Albrecht for like 20 minutes about the history of this, and this. And we're like, okay. And he's like, all right, go to Witch Drop and fight some shit.
Yeah, this is samey and honestly kind of dumb. The task, the training, quote unquote, is to go to the Witch Drop. This is the chasm that is in the northeastern part of Kurthis, and it's full of void scent. We go down to the bottom. We find a knight. This one is Brucemont. This gets very confusing too, because the knights all go, I heard you're hot shit, but we'll see about that. Defend yourself.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm gonna fight you.
But no, at that time, the knight's not fighting us. Some guys spawn and attack us from elsewhere.
We're just fighting some
But
garbage.
the language is like they're gonna fight us themselves.
Right, like, show me your medal, on guard. And I'm like, okay, let's go, Bruce. But no.
And they're like, no, not me, those guys.
Oh, okay.
On guard, those guys.
I see. Why are you here?
I don't know. Anyways, we kill a couple. This one's just like a death gaze. We kill a single trash enemy, then we leave. Thank you, Flight, for making this much more simple than it would have been otherwise.
Dude. Okay, so we're at the bottom of Witch Drop, right? And I do like random mount roulette. So this time I got the Phoenix. Not the Phoenix, the one from P3S.
Phoenix?
The Phoenix? Yeah. And so I like rocketed out of the bottom of Witch Drop on the Phoenix. And I was like, I hope there's some other PC standing there up top right now to watch this like out of this fucking chasm on my Phoenix. I'm like, this is rad. Nobody was there. Nobody saw.
Rip Chin's moment.
Like, this is cinematic as fuck, man.
Just got to camp there for someone doing the MSQ and then give
then
them
like, whoa!
Yeah.
And everybody's going to be like really impressed and everybody will clap.
Exactly. So we fight the one thing, we go back to Alberic, he says, good job, and then we go level up. When we return at level 40, Alberic now gets a little defensive. He says that few people besides Ishgardians have seen dragons and that most think them products of the imagination. It seems kind of rude, IMO, for people to dismiss the existential threat of a nation. I don't know how many people are actually...
Fucking welcome to America. Goddamn. For real.
I mean, I guess, yes.
I totally believe it because we have people who are trying to convince us that the earth is flat, so...
I suppose so, but I guess also... dragons don't feel remotely far-fetched compared to all the other shit that is like right outside town.
Oh no, I mean like in your backyard, no matter where you are, there's gonna be some like dragon adjacent looking mob.
Yeah.
Like the pucks, for example. Like,
Yep.
oh, a winged beast? No, not in my Eorzea.
Apparently someone has told Alberic that they deny dragons, and that's pretty rude of them. But we don't.
It's ignorant.
We have indeed fought a dragon so far, at least one in Brave Flox's Longstop.
We fought like 17 in Stone Vigil.
That's you, yep. A lot of dragons, actually.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, they are all too real, especially Nidhogg. 8 times has Ishgard suffered the creature's wrath. So let us go back to history again and recount all 8 times.
Here we go.
JK, just the last one.
Thank you, Alberic.
The year...
No. We would have gotten all 8 sitting with Alberic. But we're...
I am here for it, but no. So, Jen, the year is 20 summers past. The place, Gervania. Nidhogg has awakened once more to resume his reign of terror, having already leveled several villages. Sensing the great worm's rage, others of his kind begin to rouse in such numbers that they blot out the sun with their wings. Raging infernos paint the sky red. The agonized scream of innocence falls to deathly silence. Alberic, stage left.
Spotlight.
Alberic was there through it all, as the Azure Dragoon. Nidhogg only lingered in one place long enough to lay waste to it, then moved on. And through it all, Alberic pursued him, a game of cat and mouse that felt like an eternity. But eventually, he found himself face to face with Nidhogg, and the resulting battle went on for 3 days and nights. Alberic felt his will faltering. He had to end it before it was too late. So he marshaled his last ons of strength and wagered it all on a single thrust. His lance struck home in Nidhogg's empty eye socket.
Just like Heldrath did back in the day.
Yes, but there was an eye there at the time.
Correct.
But yes, also yes. The worm writhed about, dealing Alberic a blow that left him insensate. He thought himself doomed, but Nidhogg fled with a blood-curdling roar. Even so, the injuries left Alberic unfit to carry on as the Azure Dragoon. As he lay bedridden, his mind wandered to all the innocents who perished. Countless orphans were left behind by this conflict, and one of them was Estinien, the sole survivor of Ferndale. Alberic took Estinien in as his own son, instructing him in the ways of the Dragoon. But this was not a noble deed. Alberic's actions were born of guilt for having failed the child, for letting his parents die. But also, Alberic seems to have failed as a father, for his son has now turned traitor. And what's more, the current disturbance may signal Nidhogg through his missing eye, and cause the worm to rouse from slumber once again.
It's all bad. It's all real bad.
But enough talk. Time for a trial.
Oh, yay.
Back to Witch Drop.
Oh. Same place? Or?
Now we go to a different chasm and meet up with...
It's the same chasm.
It's a different chasm.
It's Witch Drop.
Oh, sure, but a different hole in the ground.
Wow, you're being very generous. Okay, sure, different chasm.
It is literally a different chasm. This part is indisputable.
It's Witch Drop North?
East.
Witch Drop South?
Northeast-er.
Witch Drop Part 2?
Northeast or Part 2.
Okay.
Your choice.
Yep.
That aside, though, that's irrelevant. The point being, we meet up now with Estiniens in a different chasm, and she tells us to prove we have the power Alberic sees in us.
On guard!
On guard.
Oh, we're gonna fight Houston!
No, we're swarmed by dire mites. We beat them. Such strength. Mayhaps Sir Alberic has the right of it.
Okay,
Quest
bye.
over. Yep, okay, bye. Now at level 45. Alberic informs us a message has arrived from Estinien not moments ago.
Yeah, he wrote us a letter. What the hell? He wishes to meet with us at Boulder Downs. Not just Boulder Downs, but the most Azure Dragoon-ass cinematic vista possible in Kurthus. We're in that, like, sweeping red crystal whirl on, like, this thin, spiky precipice. And Estinien joins us on the opposite precipice. And we stand there on the tip, hundreds of feet in the air, with a chasm 20 feet across in front of us. And, like, it's ridiculous.
And he says, throw me the drugs, I'll throw you the money.
It's fucking straight up. I do love this, though, because, I mean, we've done a lot of jobs in 14, and very few have, like, had the cinematography
yes.
of this moment.
Yes.
It's really incredible.
Yep.
And I also appreciate Kurthus being in perpetual winter, because if this were like summer, it would be way less impressive.
Agree.
Anyway, so Alberic, he's on our spike, by the way. Alberic begs him to stop. Whatever he's doing, stop it. Every minute that passes with him in possession of the eye risks another tragedy like the one from 20 years ago, and you wouldn't want something like that to happen, would you? He asks him to surrender the eye and himself and return to Ishgard. Do the honorable thing. Alas, says Estinien, Nidhogg has already awoken. Alberic is not stoked to hear this. However, the eye is not the reason for his return. A premonition came to Estinien by virtue of the dragon within, telling him the great worm would soon return. And as Nidhogg slumbered, he was overwhelmed with irrepressible anger at the wound Alberic gave him 20 years ago. And that anger is what fuels him now. The only solution, as Estinien sees it, is to take the eye as far away from Ishgard as possible. And Alberic is like, I know what you're doing, okay? Estinien, you mean to use yourself as bait. You wish to pursue retribution for Ferndale. And Estinien is like, these two things are one and the same. Estinien became a dragoon to avenge his family. And dragons remember their grudges throughout their lives. So we look back on Nidhogg's history. With each awakening, he grows stronger. The last time, 20 years ago, they were within a hair's breadth of annihilation. And nothing short of death will stop him this time. Nidhogg took everything from Estinian, and he will return the favor, even if it means his own life.
It is plain to Estinian that the Eye has chosen 2 Dragoons in one generation for a reason. It means for us to join together, the 2 Azures. He asks us to lend him our aid. This is our best, nay, only chance to send the worm to eternal slumber. But, he says, behold my armor. This is the Draken mail, forged in the lifeblood of dragons. As blood calls to blood, so too does the armor call to the dragon within, redoubling the wearer's strength thereby. And our training will only be complete when we don such armor.
There it is.
He bids that Alberic guide us in claiming our own armor, and then we will learn to harness the power of the dragon in full. You know what this means, Jen?
Montage?
The artifact armor step.
Basically a montage.
This, as far as the artifact armors go in A Realm Reborn, this is among the best in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because 1, the armor is baked right into the story. It's not like go get clothes for some reason. It is get your shit together to fight this huge fucking dragon. This makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Also, the quest is fully contained within Kurthis. There's no going across the world, teleporting all over the place to grab these things. You can knock it out all right here.
Yes. Also immersive.
Yes.
I mean, like, it would have been cool if we got our, like, bard attire, and the attire was made out of the blood of bards past, so we can speak to our new bard blood.
I don't think that fits the theme of the job quest, but that would be metal at a minimum. Anyway, so we do the thing. We do the normal artifact armor stuff. We have to go and see a few like challenge proctors. These guys are all in one cave. This is the Ogre's Belly, which is in the far eastern part of the zone, right near Nadalin. And like they're all in this one cave. So super, super easy. We go down the cave, we fight some guys, we get the armor pieces, go back to Alberic, Dunzo. Except we have only claimed 3 pieces. He tells us our final trial will not be against foes, but ghosts. Spoiler, it's a foe. So this is set up really mysteriously, but it becomes a giant fart. He says we have to go to this steel vigil and seek out some gravestones. He gives us a dragon bone flute and tells us to toot the flute, and a single visitor shall arrive.
Hot cross buns. Hot cross buns. 1 a penny, 2 a penny. Oh shit, it's a dragon!
Yes. Before that, he says we should entertain our guest and he should leave behind a present. So this seems kind of cool. Like, who's going to appear? Is it going to be some ghost of some dragoon?
Yeah. I had no idea what to expect.
No, it's a fucking trash dragon.
Well, I mean, it's not a trash mob. It is a drake named Greywine.
Who's trash?
Yes, but it does have a proper name, and there's probably some narrative weight behind that.
Well, there is kind of. We fight Greywine the Biased. And so first off, this takes place on that snowy precipice overlooking the gates of heaven, right?
No.
Steps of Faith.
The Steps of Faith.
Yeah. This is where those stone cairns are covered in snow. Mm-hmm. Super cool area.
Yeah. It's a
cool area.
Because it's cold. No, it's a very beautiful spot. Of course, the view is ridiculous. But obviously, this is like a place of reflection and honoring the dead and such. So this is where we fight Greywine.
Yep. So we play the flute. A normal ass biased appears. We fight it. We kill it. We go back to Alberic. Alberic says this was the ghost of Greywine, an old Dravanian who is said to have been able to bring down a castle in a single breath. Well,
he's not a ghost. He's still very much corporeal because we bring his skull back.
He tells us it's a ghost. I took this to be like it's, I guess, kind of metaphysical in a way.
It's more of like he's a shade of his former self. And also something that has been kind of like hovering in the psyche of Ishgardians for quite some time.
Right. But
he is not what he was.
Shade is another term for ghost, Jen.
I agree, but also disagree. It's a little different. So
a spirit made manifest is what, sure. But I also, again, ghosts can have many terms too.
Ghosts don't have souls.
It can also, It can also be essentially like a remnant. I don't think it's the actual Grey Wine who's been dicking around by these cairns for centuries until someone plays the flute. I think that we're calling back his spirit. That's what's meant to happen.
Agree to disagree.
That's fine.
This is
all speculation.
Yeah, totally. Both are valid.
Whatever happened, it's ultimately a trash mob fight. It's just one more easy enemy that does not feel mechanically distinct from all the other speed bumps we fought so far. That's the real bummer. I wish this were an actual scene or something.
Give
or
us
like a
trial.
Yes, exactly.
I said that like 2 feet away from the mic. You know, when we get like I don't know if it's worthy of you know what? Yes, it is worthy. When we get the Rataten rework, we get the La Habrea rework. Give us like an end-all be-all battle for each job at like level 45 or whatever. That is something.
Oh, I've got some shit to talk about the level 50 fight on this job, so...
They're never hard, dude. They're never hard. The shit we did at the MSQ when we went to intercept Ryu at Camp Blue Fog, or the Cerulean, or Castrum Meridianum.
Yeah.
And we had to fight like all that gaggle of fucking Imperials and Magitech and whatever. And I'm like, that's harder than this actual fight a legendary dragon thing.
To be fair to A Realm Reborn, that content you just mentioned is much later than the Dragoon job quest. That is I
totally agree.
Bone, I'll throw it.
But make us feel like we're earning this shit.
I agree with that, absolutely.
Anyway, okay.
So enough bitching. We go back and we've got the skull from Grey Wine. Grey Wine. And of course, now the 5th armor piece, the chest, is missing. Albrecht says it isn't his to give, but we have proven our worth. Then he asks for us to reaffirm our commitment to this cause. We think we're going to go and fight Nidhogg, but no, that's not what's happening here.
Well, it is, when he's talking about the quote-unquote cause, that is like accepting Estiniens' invitation to fight alongside him against Nidhogg. Like, right. Are you sure you want to do that?
But then Albrecht is going to bait and switch us. I've got some things to say about this, which I'll save for the end. Anyway, though, we come back and say, yes, we're in for sure. But now, though, he drops the other shoe, essentially. This is his confession. Albrecht lied when he said that the power of the Azure Dragoon deserted him. It was Albrecht who deserted the power. The Eye grants many draconic powers to the user, including the ability to commune with dragons. It makes the wielder's mind more susceptible to their seduction. And so, when Albrecht was prepared to strike Nidhogg that last blow, he looked into the dragon's eye and felt sorrow, pity, rancor. These feelings threatened to drown him and leave behind a dragon in his place. Albrecht purged himself then and there of the Eye's powers, fearing that he may turn traitor. This was moments after his final blow to Nidhogg that caused the worm to flee, and so after purging himself, Albrecht regained lucidity but not his strength. And although the great worm had fled, his brethren fell upon Ferndale, and Albrecht, bereft of the Azure's powers, was powerless to stop them. He could only save one child in his weakened state. That's Estinien, of course.
Yeah. So he was struck by a sudden bout of empathy. Poor guy. Because that's straight up what that is. Nidhogg was like, hey man, I'm an individual and I am sad and mad and, I have suffered too in my tremendously long lifetime. I'm going to give you a little taste because you're trying to kill me right now and I feel like maybe some perspective is missing. That's like, yeah. So
this situation is highly complicated, but I gather though that it's not here, let's meet in the middle, have some of my feelings. It's more, I'm going to turn you around and point you at Ishgard because you're going to become dragon pilled, essentially.
I don't know if, maybe.
Given how the finale of the quest plays out, I think that's strongly the message here.
Okay, so Nidhogg was attempting to work through Albrecht maliciously.
Or the eye was, I guess that'd be Nidhogg too, so yes.
Yes.
That is my interpretation.
Right. So Albrecht was like...
Either way, you're right, Jen, that this is not, good, evil present here, but I don't think it's Nidhogg going, give peace a chance. It's...
No. But it's just interesting to me that Albrecht in that moment couldn't take that wave of emotion in context. So he's basically admitting like he really wasn't strong enough to deal with that.
Correct.
So it was either be turned completely and start slaughtering your own people, or walk away and let somebody else do the slaughtering.
Yes. That's what I follow.
Yeah. So that's a tough one.
Estinian does not know this. This has been kept a secret from him. But Albrecht is concerned for him all the same. His goal is both to protect and avenge. But these are opposing forces that can be ill reconciled. And his drive for vengeance clouds his sense of self. So now, Albrecht will confess to Estinian, and Estinian's life may depend upon his willingness to relinquish the Azure's powers. Remember, ever does the dragon lurk behind the Dragoon's powers. But first, we must claim one final technique. We are given the Dragon Bone Flute again, and told to head for Providence Point, and if we defeat the dragon that answers his call, then we will awaken the dragon inside us. We head over and toot the flute again, and Avis appears, we beat it down real fast, and we return, unlocking the Winged Glide, aka the Gap Closer. We go forth and level up once more to try and master the power within us, and we return at level 50. But apparently we have not fully mastered the power, and so we cannot be bestowed with the final piece of the Draken mail, but we'll have to make do. Estinian is at the Steel Vigil, and he needs to know the truth of Ferndale and Albrecht's deeds, lest Estinian fall under the dragon's sway.
Estinian has reached out to us, and so that we can meet him at Steel Vigil. Nidhogg is on the move. Yeah, like you said, we're out of time. We can't do armor set fun times. We got to go deal with this right now. So Albrecht and I arrive at Steel Vigil, and we enter, and Estinian arrives soon after.
Steel Vigil is the northeastern-most fortress in Kurthis Central Highlands. This is the one that is ruined. The center of the fortress has essentially been knocked into the chasm beyond, and there is just like a little stony lip inside the fortress walls, which looks over the abyss below.
There's like a round platform there.
Yes.
Yeah, there's actually a series of fates that you can do in this area. I think it's like 3.
Yep.
And it culminates in a really cool little boss fight in that arena.
This place is very cool.
It's
Good
very
place
cool.
For our final job quest.
The showdown. So Estinian walks up. He turns to face us and he points his lance at Albrecht. I have long awaited this day. Estinian knows. He calls Albrecht a coward.
Point of order. I don't know if he long awaited, I guess, quote, this day. Because I think the Eye has just...
Is starting to speak through him?
Just told him, I guess, the truth of Ferndale. Because last quest step, we're going to all team up together, the 3 of us, and go fight Nidhogg. I think that the long awaited part is vengeance in general.
He's retroactively applying this.
Yep.
Yeah, now that he knows, he's like, oh, I should have been feeling poorly about this whole time.
Yep.
I should have been mad at you this whole time. And so he calls Albrecht a coward. He relinquished his power and watched Ferndale burn. The Eye revealed the truth, undoing a lifetime of trust. Estinian also knows that Albrecht has yet to inform the Archbishop of the missing Eye. So, come on, man. And I'm like, well, I guess that's fair. I wouldn't want to inform the Archbishop of such a thing either. But none of that matters. He will take away everything Albrecht holds dear and claim Nidhogg's head. And Albrecht pleads with him to calm himself. The rage only weakens him against the dragon's influence.
Second point of order, and then claim Nidhogg's head. After taking away everything that Albrecht holds dear.
Right.
Not the same thing.
Yeah, correct.
Yes.
2 different things.
Yes.
I've got 2 things I want to do today.
Carry on.
Kick gum and chew ass.
Yeah.
At this point, we step forward and we kind of take an offensive position between Estinien and Albrecht. And in this moment, Estinien's dream of fighting alongside the second Azure Dragoon dies. We would rather defend, this is Estinien talking to us, we would rather defend the coward forsaking our destiny. Very well, he says. We shall see who is the Eye's true chosen. There can be only one. There can be only one.
And now
we
fight.
fight. We fight Estinien.
And as alluded to, this fight is lame. I was immediately bummed upon seeing Estinien.
I was like, oh shit, I need to eat. I need to pot. I'm gonna die.
The Azure Dragoon, he whips out the Lancer Heartstopper maneuver, that tiny little rectangle that goes like a foot in front of him.
Oh no,
Watch out.
It's like every wolf ever. Oh,
yes.
I'm gonna do my neck ripper maneuver.
And then he's got like a jump. He does a jump, which is a tiny circle AoE on him. And he spams these 2 maneuvers for like the first half of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, he gains the Sky Dragon Dive, which leaves a small puddle of fire on the ground. So a little bit of area denial. You know, maybe in like a day, I'll run out of space in the arena to stand in.
But I can still manipulate him to placing those things in a very particular pattern.
Even if you don't, you're going to kill him long before it becomes a factor. Finally, if you let the fight go on long enough, glowing orbs will start to appear, called Dragon's Eyes. You can kill these orbs, but if they contact Estinien, he will get a heal and a damage buff.
I saw the eyes.
Cool.
Yeah. I killed him.
Cool. Good job. You did it, Jen.
No, the eyes, like if they pop up, you get them.
Yes.
They die in like an hit.
Yes.
So yeah, not a lot going on.
He collapses, and I was making notes as I go here, Jen. I paused it right after he collapses, and he starts hearing a voice inside, and I'm like, oh shit, is this actually a 2-part fight? Because I was ready. Oh. I was making my fight notes, and I was about to like hit enter. This fight sucks in my notes, but then like
wait.
There starts to be this whispering inside, and I'm like, oh shit, is there going to be a Nidhogg Estinian?
Oh my god.
But no, it's fine. This scene is cool, but
it is.
It gave me pause for a moment on thinking that was all there was to the actual conflict. So we beat him, he collapses, and a voice whispers to him from within. Feeble creature, dost thou desire power? Look to thine anger and to thy hatred. Estinien cries out, O mighty Nidhogg, Lord of Dragons, grant unto me thy blood, that I might be granted the claws and fangs wherewith to rend thine enemies. A great black and purple vortex opens up in the sky, blasting down on Estinien with a surge of energy. He is now awash in power. But now we appear as a Dragoon armor-clad Elizin, standing in front of Albrecht. At first, I thought we were supposed to be Estinien's clone.
Yeah, I thought what we were looking at was actually like Estinien kind of like redressed, you know, in like better quote unquote armor. So after this like massive like rift in the sky tears open and blasts the whole arena with this shit, we see an Azure Dragoon in some hella armor, and I was like, "Is this Estinian?"
Yes, it's so confusing.
But no, that's good. It's good. It subverts your expectations, man. Because I was like, oh shit, Estinian is now like, you know, Super Saiyan or whatever. But it's us. It's fucking us.
Well, I thought, Jen, that he had like split into 2 people, good Estinian and evil Estinian now or something, because...
Bro, Estinian was already both of those things.
Well, that's what I thought happened though, was like he got split into 2 entities or something because...
So then like good Estinian had to battle bad Estinian?
It looks like a mirror match. It's so confusing visually.
The armor is very similar, but they are different.
Is one like the level 50 purple? Okay.
Yeah, one is like Haldrath's armor, which we learn after this moment.
Yes.
So we are resplendent in Haldrath's armor, which is different from Estinien's Azure Dragoon armor.
We also, though, again, become an Elizin. We are not Like,
right, yeah, no, we're tall,
Yeah.
you know, if you were a Lullafell going into this, you'd be like, that's not me, but it is. And so it's like, so now it's like Azure Dragoon facing Azure Dragoon. And we are resplendent in this full set of Draken mail. And Estinien, he's still got this power swirling within him, but it's not enough. Estinien sputters in disbelief as we raise our lance and thrust it into the ground with force enough to dispel him.
Summon a gout of fire. This essentially is the dragon fire dive.
Sick.
That we've done. And when the flame clears, the glamour upon us or whatever is gone. We're back to our normal selves, and Estinien is nowhere to be seen. Alberic bemoans that he has now failed Estinien twice, but there's nothing else to be done besides to return to the observatorium. We reconvene back there. Alberic says that we appear to be the spitting image of Haldrath, the Dragon's Eye, just as he appeared in the Holy Scriptures. It seems that we have done the impossible. We have awakened to abilities that none but the first Azure Dragoon possessed. And we summoned the Draken mail worn by Haldrath. It had been sealed within the soul crystal all this time.
Nice.
Could it be that we are? No. Mark not my mutterings. It must just have been our indomitable sense of justice that resonated with the soul of the dragon.
I think so. I would agree.
As the being of darkness faded, as in Dark Estinien, so too did Nidhogg's aura subside. Now his kind have ceased their stirring. For now.
Yes.
That's my comment.
Right. No, and I know. I was there.
But
I know
our
what you said,
listeners have not just done this job quest.
Right. Yeah. Albrecht wonders if this was a result of our awakening. But, you know, we might never know. A lot of things happened at once.
Such a badass that Nidhogg went back to sleep, saying, fuck that shit.
All right, I'll wait until you're old and tired or something.
Yeah.
But as far as Estinian goes, no matter what happens, Albrecht will always consider him a son. And he hopes that someday he will sever the connection to the dragon and remember the great man that he was. And still could be, if he's alive. When Albrecht was touched by the darkness, he felt the same depth and avalanche of emotion that he did 20 years ago when he stabbed Nidhogg. But there was a new voice cut in, and this voice lamented the divide between dragon and man. And that's just the timing of this is interesting because we just did Shiva, and so we're getting a lot of that messaging there too. So hopefully this is instilling the player with a lot of doubt about this man-dragon issue.
The Dragon Song War. Well, we will comprehend in due time. Until then, pray use our newfound powers for justice. And that's the end of the quest. Jen, you seem to be fine with it. I have issues still with that transformation scene for our character. I think that because the game is third person, I can't tell if that's supposed to be me or
if it's like a vision, some other entity that has joined the fray.
Exactly. Yeah. Even though if it were us, actually, we would know that, you know, we're standing right there still. There's no other Dragoon present. But again, it's
almost like we became a primal in that moment.
Oh my God. And until the clarification at the end by Alberic, I had no idea what the fuck had even begun to happen in that scene, because it looked to me like we became a clone of Estinien. The skin tone is close enough that you can't tell the difference with the framing of the scene. Honestly, I could not pick out the armor difference myself because Estinien is covered in the purple glowies, you know? Yeah. So I couldn't make out that our armor was a different shade than his. And then he's gone, and we Dragonfire dive, and he vanishes, and I'm like, what the fuck? So we got one Estinian, two Estinians, no Estinians. Math doesn't check out.
I was like, I guess, I don't know, the contextual clues made me believe, I'm like, oh, this is me. Because that's in the exact same spot I was standing. I am also not in the scene. So I assumed that I had been like blessed with this power. Like the dragon power that had consumed Estinian in the bad way was now coursing through my essence in the good way so that I could deal with Estinian.
That is much closer than my take to the mark, for sure. So it worked for Jen, but I was very confused, and I withheld all note-taking even until I got to the recap, because I did not know how to process that sequence of events there.
Fair. It's one of the moments where I think I've been the least confused. I've certainly been confused in other moments.
I think that having visible faces would have helped a lot in that.
No, I liked that.
Again, this worked for you, which is great, but it did not work for me because I was more confused than into it at that point. It ruined the magnitude of the moment because I was trying to figure out the blocking. I'm sure that both our scenarios have happened in multitude across the player base, but I'm saying though that it took me out of the moment.
Well, I mean, we don't. So we, the seed had already been planted that we've got some serious Haldrath vibes going on, but we don't know what Haldrath's armor looked like. So it's not like if we were suddenly appearing in it, we'd be like, oh shit, we're wearing his stuff. Like, we don't know. It just became, it was obvious to me after a beat, okay, so when I first appeared with this new shit on, I first thought that Estinian had leveled up. But then when we get the zoom out, I realize like, oh no, that's us. Holy shit.
That's fine. I mean, again, it seemed to have worked for you. You got the correct read and I didn't. So congrats, Jen. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
Happy for you.
Yeah.
You have to say it with way more like dripping cynicism.
But Jen, I don't bemoan your enjoyment. I am glad that you got the correct feelings from that scene.
Yeah, no, I get that. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm glad I got something, because sometimes I don't get shit.
Goes both ways, Jen.
Yeah. So I think there was like a bit of kind of magic glam stuff going on. Yeah.
Anyway, though, on the whole, so this quest is very divisive for me personally, because this has a riveting story. Yeah. Especially now that we know we're going to Ishgard, it hits much harder than if it were just kind of abstract fiction. If you were playing in the midst of a Realm Reborn, not knowing what the next expansion might hold. Yeah.
So, I mean, if anybody listening, for some reason, is just starting out their Final Fantasy XIV adventure.
And they chose the Dragoon episode 111.
Right. And you listen to this first. Well, fuck. Do the Lancer and Dragoon shit last, because I think that's when it's the most potent.
Yeah.
That worked out for us just totally randomly. We did not design this, but it worked out.
Jen did not design this.
Did you leave this for last?
Yes.
Oh, dude. See? That's why you're the co-host.
Because I've done the job quest beforehand, so I knew what it included.
Brilliant. Yeah. No, the weight of it definitely feels like that really worked, man. Way to manifest that.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah.
Anyway, fantastic story. Very, like, I'm just like, give me more Dragoon lore. Give me more, dragon facts.
Dude, oh my God, I can't wait to get to Hildberg.
Goddamn, like, the mechanics are...
The mechanics, the trials, the encounters are so flat. They're just, like, copy-paste from every other job trial we've ever done. It's fighting bullshit. It takes no time. We're not even using, like, all skills. I'm like, I'm putting this button and this button. Oh, it's over. This is not a unique thing to say about this.
Correct. Yes. It's not damning just because of its brethren. Pretty much every Realm Reborn job quest gets the same critique.
The way it is.
It's the way it is.
But for me, the Dragoon story was extremely compelling. And
but I will say, though, the fights are so cursory and irrelevant to the actual story. It's just like, I guess we got to have the player fight something before the quest's over, so go fight a guy in a hole for a bit.
What if we fought, instead of like Grey Wine, it was like one of Nidhogg's great-great-great-grandchildren or something that's been scooting around? I don't know.
I guess it's more not even that. It's that the fights have no bearing on the story. It's just time for fight. I've talked to you a bunch.
Like, yeah, I mean, the whole point of this game is to fight stuff. I suppose we should let you do that.
Exactly. It's not like the story ever demands you to draw your weapon, Arguably, you could say that the trials of the artifact armor segment might require some fighting, narratively speaking. But besides checking that box, really the only fight that's, quote, needed by this quest line is the final showdown with the Estinian. And beyond that, like, just cut that shit. I don't need to go fight some generic void scent in a hole to feel like I have accomplished this quest step.
I just had a fucking brainwave. What if, and this is asking for a lot, so this never will happen, but when in the proximity of Estinian and therefore the Eye, we are wandering minstrel-esque flashed back into the scene at Ferndale, and we battle then one of the horde that was destroying Ferndale, and that was the trial, and we did that like in a flashback in a dream and like a moment of like magical, like they you know, compression, you know, like
that would work out very well. That also works with the actual memories in the job crystal too. However,
right?
If they did that, that would mean this quest would be far above and beyond any other.
It'll never fucking happen.
Great. That's a
so
great
now we
idea
have to,
though,
find
Jen.
a way to like shove something like that into every single job quest. Unless for whatever
you mean
reason.
Effort?
That's...
I know.
Damn. But now that I've said that, that's all I want. Like, because then you feel the feelings of these characters you're with. You understand Estinian's rage and regret, and then Albrecht's also regret, and my God, that would have been so fucking cool.
The mechanics aside, another kind of ding on this quest, I think. I don't know if it's a ding so much as a disappointment to a player who does not know what the future holds, is what I'll say. And that is that the quest is set up that you're going to be fighting this great worm Nidhogg. You are led to believe for a good portion of it that you are prepping for this, dragon battle. Right. And you're going to team up with Estinian, and it's going to be the two Azure Dragoons, and you're going to do cool shit together like bros. I can very much imagine, and even I, knowing that we're not going to fucking fight Nidhogg as the final quest step,
oh my God.
I felt the promise of excitement from that kind of showdown.
Yeah, no, I mean,
dwelling.
They also, plop us into this environment that is rife for such an encounter.
Yes.
Or ripe for such an encounter. And I'm, obviously very glad we didn't fight Nidhogg, because that's stupid. They planted the seed. So we have this, like, unrequited urge. Yeah. And that will carry us through for however long. And so Estinian then, like, did actually use himself as bait, but for us instead of Nidhogg.
Yes.
Which, like, I was like, oh shit. And I remember in the cutscene when Estinian points his lance at Albrecht, and he's like, I fucking know what you did. And we turned to look at Albrecht like, oh shit. Like, the look on our face is horror. We're like, he knows, dude. What are you gonna do? But Albrecht actually is like, I don't care that you know. I care that you should stop. Fight against this influence, because that's why you're acting the way you're acting. You're not being you, man.
Again, for a player not knowing the future of the game's story, the bait and switch here of I'm going to fight Nidhogg. Oh wait, I'm going to fight Estinian. The switch is not nearly as exciting as the bait was. And I do think that with this being the end of the job quest, full stop, no future steps in sight, that is a bit of a game design sin to have led the player to think they're getting this exciting battle and being like, oh wait, JK, you gotta fight just a dude instead.
Suck it up. Not a dude. How dare you? Estinian, the Azure Dragoon, just a dude.
Jen, put yourself in the mindset of
a player. Oh, that's me. Hey, look at that. I'm a player.
And a Realm Reborn player.
Oh, that was also me.
Who has not played this job quest after having played the entire game.
This is a singular moment where I'm touching this job for the first time after literally playing the entire rest of the game. I don't know. I still think there's plenty of mystique built up around Estinian, that the prospect of fighting him one-on-one, Azure Dragoon to Azure Dragoon, instead of like side-by-side as buddies, we're now nemesises. I am not disappointed by that at all. And that also leaves this loose end that is Nidhogg. So the Eye still exists. Estinian still is assumed to still possess it if he's alive, whatever, we don't know. They blipped out of existence, so who knows? That is all, like, that is one big fat loose end. That there will be a reckoning at some point, so I'm glad that that's still a thing.
Jen and I got into kind of a rambling and spoiler-heavy tangent here, and talking about, I guess, the Estinian versus Nidhogg showdown level 50 finale.
And yeah, no, Levi was butthurt that he couldn't fight Nidhogg, and I was like, oh, there's a very good reason you can't fight Nidhogg, and let's talk about it. Goes.
Jen has advocated for, even though this cannot stay in the episode because it is full of spoilers of the next expansion, that we still have it somewhere. So I have cut it out and thrown it as a bonus on the Patreon, uncut, with no conclusion, just like, that's where we stand.
We had a
moving on
discussion, dude. So,
and
boy.
Yeah, so please enjoy. That's all. So once again, though, Jen, knowing what I do now, I am very happy to get the official Estinian story.
Yes.
This is very important. Regardless of how much the quest stands on its own merits, I'm happy for this content being available, just period.
Oh, yeah, no, this is a gift.
In the broader context.
Yes.
That's my conclusion.
Word.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any other Dragoon thoughts, Jen?
No.
Cool. So next
Listen
time,
to my other Dragoon thoughts on Patreon.
That aside, though, next time we are talking about the Hullbreaker Isle dungeon. Dungeon in the technical sense, not the literal sense whatsoever.
Because it's an island.
Yes.
And that will do it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening and being your sweet little Dragoon selves, because all Dragoons are precious. If you want to get in touch with us, you can at podreturnffxiv at gmail.com. You can check the show notes for our Discord, join up and I don't know, make some friends, share some photos, join some group runs, shit like that. It's super good. And check out our Patreon, patreon.com/podreturnffxiv. And for $1 a month, you get access to all of our bonus content, whatever the fuck that might be. We have our Final Fantasy XI series there, Vana'diel Van Splainer. We talk about the tabletop RPG, we talk about the card game, we talk about all the seasonal events. So, check it out. With that, we hope you enjoyed the episode. Have a good day or night, and we will see you next time.